twice this year for the Bassmaster Elite Series, and both times we have had extremely high water and crazy flooding 1 month apart. And Neely Henry is throwing some anglers, some curveballs this week. Neely Henry, the second lake on the Coosa River chain, the famed Coosa River, known for its big spotted bass, also has great largemouth fishing as well. And Neely will present some challenges this week. A lot of changing conditions for these anglers on the water.
Yeah, we had a one-day delay. We're starting here on Friday, Ronnie. Looking at social media, Chris Zaldane won the social media for me. We had 4 inches of rain, and he had a video of himself docking up, and then he panned away, and it was a dock floating down the river. So this is a dock floater, the rain we had. And they're getting it going today, though.
There's definitely a lot of crazy things that will float down some of these rivers when the water gets this high, and it is extremely high up the river, extremely low down the lake, and we will explain that this week, as we do have Neely Henry Lake on the Coosa River, so it has both traits and aspects here for our 6th stop of the Bassmaster Elite Series. It's crazy, Such, to think we're so close to the end of the season already. Just a few events left, which means every day is critical on the water for these anglers. Welcome into the Bassmaster Studio, sponsored by Marathon. Ronnie Moore here with Mike Sukon and Such. The 6th stop, only a couple more days of guaranteed fishing for these anglers, and they've had, once again, the 6th event with crazy conditions thrown their way, curveballs every time.
We've had that all season, starting with fog at the St. John, super cold at Knoxville, big storms, 6 feet extra water at Pickwick.
The Sabine
delays,
presents its challenges. Fork, we postponed, or we shortened to day 2 there. So
now storms.
Hey, it's
again,
par
rain.
for the course this year, but these anglers are good, and we will get a treat today on Bassmaster Live, learning to see how these guys adjust, not only missing a day on the water in between their practice and the tournament because no one was competing yesterday, then we will also see how they adjust from there after all the water and color.
Good reports, though, that the anglers were kind of surprised that it is cleared up as much as it has when they saw the water this morning. They were not allowed to do anything yesterday on the water, but they're back at it.
Yeah, not only is it higher water, but it's dirtier water in some areas. It's low in some areas, but we have 6 anglers out on the water today. 3 basic bona fide local, Such, and our Angler of the Year leader. Hey, and until the Angler of the Year leader doesn't catch him, that's what we expect. We expect him to catch him. And Fighter is in the Angler of the Year lead, 2-time winner.
Seth Fighter and Patrick Walker's got a little bit of a runaway going from the rest of the field, Ronnie. They're 4 points apart and about 45 ahead of the next competitors.
We'll keep our eyes on him. He always has a great end to the season when we go up north for smallmouth.
Oh my God,
taking home
dude.
2 Angler of the Year championship event wins, Mille Lacs and Lake St. Clair.
Big
so we
wins.
know when it comes up to brown fish up north, the smallmouth, Fighter is one of the anglers to keep your eye on. But Such, great start to the year, catching them down in Florida, and he has made multiple final days, and that is what you want to be leading Angler of the Year.
And he's used this line on me a couple times. It's one of these events that I could win it or I could finish last.
Well, for Fighter, he has done very well this year. 3 final days, has not missed a cut, only missed a limit 1 time this season, despite all of the crazy conditions.
Nowhere near last.
So for Seth Fighter, he's primed up not only to make the Classic, maybe have a shot later this year at the Angler of the Year. As we look at our Skeeter Angler of the Year watch, we've been mentioning that Seth Fighter, Patrick Walters, with a pretty significant lead going into the 6th event of the season. But hey, you can't let off the throttle. 1 day of competition that's not in your favor on the Elite Series, and you can drop like a brick in the standings. Drew Cook in 3rd, right behind those anglers. And we will be with Fighter all day today out on the water. We'll also have a camera in the boat of Kelly J, David Fritz, and 3 of our locals. We have 5 here, basically. 3 of our locals, Josh Strassner, Scott Canterbury, and Matt Herron. We're out live with Seth Fighter right now as anglers just got done with takeoff, and they are headed down the river as well, or up the river.
A lot of those guys on camera, Ronnie, are big picks in fantasy fishing this week.
Including Scott Canterbury, the highest picked angler. Almost 50% have chosen him, and that's kind of the question on the off day. Does it help to be a local with all these crazy conditions, or will it hurt them because they know too much? Maybe they've seen it at this conditions and this level before, but sometimes that gets in your head when your practice changes up completely from the tournament.
Well, I like the dock talk of Justin Hamner saying the fish bite in these conditions. They're swimming against current and they get hungry.
Yeah,
need some energy.
It definitely will put them in specific areas that we'll want to keep an eye on
Local boy started in the same hole we did.
today.
Bill Idler.
And Seth Feider made his fantasy fishing selections
Oh, yeah.
in a video we saw this weekend. He, I'm going to just say, he went chalk. He picked a lot of guys that know a lot about Neely Henry, which is smart. But we do have some different conditions this week.
Do you think in these conditions, though, a local guy will know some of these places that when water's high they can get into? Isn't that how Steve Kennedy won a couple PAA events here?
Well, and it's one of those things where you know where those current breaks are. You know where a log under the water sticks out and creates an eddy that fish can get behind. And like Hamner said, if you find a current break that these fish are positioned behind to get out of that strong current, you can catch them very quick and a great limit. And we know that when the water is generated up from the Weiss Dam at the top of Neely Henry, out of Weiss into Neely, those fish will get right up against those undercut banks. As you see that, 3 generators here on the lakes on the Coosa River, and it is pushing as much as it can, basically maxed out for generation-wise, and it's spilling some water over the spillway as well. We will get into all of those numbers and what they mean and why it's super high up the river and super low down the lake, and anglers basically waking up in a brand new world every single day on Neely Henry this week.
Yeah,
hard to get your footing.
Most of practice was washed out, Ronnie. They had Wednesday was nice conditions, but it was kind of super rough water. That's why we had to cancel Thursday, move it back to today, and then today they come not being on the water for
And one thing that was tough about practice was that it wasn't just
trying
raining.
to catch some of these old big spots this morning.
lightning.
Tremendous lightning that they had to get away from, and now we're out with
River.
local boy Matt Herron.
The whole key is going to be, has it settled out enough to position these things where we need them to go?
We already have some fish catches coming in on Bass Track.
I was just going to mention that, Ronnie. Justin Hamner with 1 and Patrick Walters with 2 fish already.
Roommates, traveling partners. Hank
know
Cherry
something.
also with 1.
We need to get a bite and let them show us what they want to do this morning.
Matt Robertson's got a fish. What's the
finished
big fish this
second
week,
here.
Ronnie?
I think we'll see
3-pounders? Or I'm
a big fish overall or for the tournament.
decent fish.
A decent fish here
On
is definitely gonna
Neely
be
Henry.
Yeah, a 3-pounder for sure.
A big
3-pounders
fish.
will be good with the conditions given. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something in the 6-pound
Near
range for a
6.
big bass or a 5 and change.
I think in the open in the fall, the big bass was 5.5.
Yes, and the fall is definitely tremendously difficult at times. And you mentioned it, Matt Robertson with 1 on the board. He finished 2nd here at the Open last fall. We have 4 anglers on the board already. Cameras in the boat of 6 anglers. We got 98 out there competing for 48 cut spots. This week we will do 4 days here at Neely Henry if everything goes as planned. Day 1 today, day 2 tomorrow on Saturday, and we will have day 3 Sunday and championship Monday. We'll join you for 7 straight hours today on Bassmaster.com. You can join us at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and we will bring you all the coverage from the Coosa River, Gadsden, Alabama.